This program is presented to you in color. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy is my least favorite version of the character in live action. And I know that's a spicy take heading into Brand New Day. I know some of you are going to have thoughts about that, but I think a lot of you, if you grew up on Toby, if the 90s cartoon was your introduction to this character, if you played the video game, if you know what Spider-Man is supposed to feel like, then I think a lot of you know exactly what I mean. Homecoming is okay, but I will die on the hill that Far From Home is the worst Spider-Man film ever made. And here's the thing, I don't want to be negative about what's coming because Brand New Day looks different. It feels different, and I'm really excited about where this is going. But excited doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. And there are 5 things this movie absolutely has to get right. 5 things that will determine whether Brand New Day is just another good MCU film or whether it's finally the Spider-Man movie we've been waiting for since 2017 in the MCU. By the way, this video is part of Brand New Month here on Cool Beans. 4 Spider-Man videos plus weekly live streams and community discussions all month long leading up to Spider-Man Brand New Day. So if you're looking for a cozy corner of the internet to geek out over Spider-Man, we'd love to have you. You'll find everything you need in the description below. All right, let's get started. All right, so let's start here because I think this is the foundation everything else is built on. Peter Parker in the MCU has always been Tony Stark's protege. That was the creative choice from day one. He's recruited by Tony, he's given a suit by Tony. His whole identity in Homecoming is built around proving himself to Tony. And then in Far From Home, even after Tony's dead, the whole film is basically about Peter stepping out of Tony's shadow. Except it doesn't actually do that because by the end, he's wearing a new suit, using Stark tech, being managed by Happy, and he is fighting a villain with direct ties to Stark and his legacy. And look, I get it. Tony Stark was the center of gravity for the entire Infinity Saga. Of course, that relationship was going to define Peter Parker's early years in the MCU. I understand the logic, but the problem is that Peter Parker is not supposed to be defined by a mentor. He's supposed to be defined by loss, by responsibility, by the fact that he has to figure everything out himself because there's nobody coming to save him. He is supposed to be the absolute pinnacle of relatable superheroes. That's the character. A kid from Queens with no money, no backup, no billionaire in his corner, just the suit he sewed together himself, and the feeling that he can't stop because it's the right thing to do. Brand New Day is the first Tom Holland Spider-Man film where that version of the character is actually possible. The spell erased him. His friends don't remember him. He has no Stark money, no Stark tech, no Happy Hogan on speed dial. He's making his own suits. He's completely alone in a way that this version of Peter Parker has never been before. And for someone like me, that is very, very exciting because that is Spider-Man to me. The training wheels are off. They have to be. And if Brand New Day commits to that, if it resists every temptation to give Peter a new mentor, a new safety net, a new powerful friend to bail him out, then this film has a real chance to give us the Peter Parker the MCU has owed us since 2017. Okay, so this one is personal to me, and it's probably going to ruffle some feathers. But when I think about what didn't work for me in Tom's trilogy, and I've thought about this a lot, it comes down to one thing. Marvel kept trying to update Spider-Man for a modern MCU-tailored audience. And in doing so, they slowly stripped away everything that made him timeless. Let's just go through it. MJ, Michelle Jones. Look, Zendaya is great. She's a talented actress, and I have nothing against her. But Marvel was so determined to make a fresh, modern love interest that they couldn't even call her Mary Jane. She's Michelle Jones Watson, and that bothers me more than it should. But it's the principle of it that just shows a lack of respect to these characters. I mean, what is the point of not just calling her Mary Jane? Like, I guess to keep her reveal a secret until the end of the movie? Okay. Mary Jane Watson is one of the most iconic characters in Spider-Man history. She doesn't need to be modernized. We don't need to have the character so radically different from classic Mary Jane that it's barely the same character at this point. She just needs to be Mary Jane. I mean, guys, am I crazy? Now, Flash Thompson in the comics and in every other Spider-Man adaptation I grew up with, Flash is a big, dumb, popular jock who makes Peter's life miserable. And it's not just about him being a bully. He's a physical threat. He matters because Peter has to hold back. That tension is interesting. MCU Flash is a dorky rich kid who makes fun of Peter in a more modernized type of bullying. And I really do get what they were going for, updating the bully archetype for the social media age. And I think it was quite clever in Homecoming. But by Far From Home, that joke had completely run its course, and it raises a larger issue that I have in general with the MCU's version of Peter's high school. And that is that it just didn't do anything for me. The Daily Bugle as a newspaper, with deadlines and editors and a whole messy world of print journalism that Peter navigates while also being Spider-Man, that's part of the texture of this character. It grounds him in a specific world. The MCU version just doesn't have the same weight at all. And the Osborns. There's never been a Harry Osborn in Tom's trilogy. And I know they're probably just trying to avoid repeating what Raimi and the web films did, but Harry Osborn is one of the most important relationships in Peter Parker's life. The friendship, the betrayal, the tragedy of it. Ned is a great character, but Ned shouldn't be a replacement for Harry. Peter can have another friend. Just give them different roles in Peter's life. And here's the thing. None of these individual choices are catastrophic on their own, but it just didn't feel like the Spider-Man I personally grew up with. The Raimi films knew what it was supposed to feel like. The 90s cartoons knew. Even the web films, which have their own problems, I still felt all these little things working together to create the world Peter lives in. Brand New Day doesn't have to repeat the past, but it does have to understand it. The things that make Spider-Man timeless aren't outdated. They're the foundation, and the sooner this version of the character builds on that foundation, instead of replacing it, the sooner we get the MCU Spider-Man we've actually been waiting for. If you've been enjoying these videos and you'd like to help build what we're creating here at Cool Beans, I'd love to invite you to become a channel member. This has never just been about uploading Marvel videos. It's about building a place for people who love these stories as much as I do. A place to dig deeper, share theories, celebrate the movies we love, and count down together to everything that's still ahead. There are 2 membership tiers with a handful of extras like early videos, behind the scenes updates, a members only Discord, and access to the full DOOMSDAY Prep Kit that I update every week. More than anything though, your membership gives me more time to research, write, and create the kinds of videos that brought us together in the first place. So if that sounds like something you'd like to be a part of, I'd love to have you. And now, let's get back to the story. Now, Brand New Day is apparently very dark, and I want to talk about that because I think tone is one of the most important things this film has to get right. Not just for Brand New Day itself, but for whatever comes after it. Because if this is the start of a new trilogy, the tone you set in the first film is the tone you're sort of establishing for the films that follow it. Raimi's Spider-Man 2 goes dark in places. Peter losing his powers, giving up the suit, Doc Ock's wife dying. Spider-Man 3 is a lot, but the intent was dark. Peter losing himself to the symbiote, Harry dying, stuff with MJ and Harry and Peter, the whole Salmon thing with him being actually responsible for his uncle's death. These are not light moments. But even for all the imperfections of that third movie, the Raimi films never felt hollow. The darkness was always earned because the emotional foundation was there first. You cared about Peter, you cared about Mary Jane, you cared about Harry. So when things went wrong, when they really went wrong, it landed because you were invested in the people it was happening to, bad movie or not. The risk with Brand New Day is going dark without earning it. And I don't think that's what's happening. Everything I've seen and heard suggests this film has done the emotional work. I want this new trilogy to have a consistent emotional register. Dark because Peter Parker's life is genuinely difficult, because the people around him pay a price for knowing him, because with great power comes great responsibility, and responsibility is heavy at times. The Raimi films were campy. They were melodramatic, Toby cried a lot, and I loved every second of it because underneath the camp, there was real feeling, real stakes, and real consequences. And I want that for Tom's next chapter. Okay, this one's a little different from the others because it's not really about Peter Parker, but it is about something the MCU has also been getting wrong. And that is Bruce Banner and the Hulk. And why getting this right matters so much for a brand new day and his future in the MCU in general. Let me just say what we are all probably thinking. Smart Hulk has been one of the most frustrating things in the MCU post-Endgame. I understand what they were going for. Bruce finally at peace with himself, the two sides integrated, no more internal war. It's all conceptually fine, but Hulk works best when he is a genuine threat, when he is legitimately scary. The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton, that Hulk was terrifying. That is what Hulk is supposed to be, a force of nature that even the other Avengers are nervous about. Smart Hulk took all of that away, and it's been gone for years now. Brand New Day is apparently bringing it back, and from everything we've been hearing, this version of Hulk is bigger and more savage than we've ever seen him in the MCU. Peter literally has a line in the trailer where he says, "I didn't know you could get that big." And that's a very good sign. That is the exact energy we need, because the bigger the Hulk is in the comics, the angrier and more powerful he becomes. And this connects to the film's themes in a really specific way, because the whole movie is about transformation. It's about what happens when you try to control something that doesn't want to be controlled. Peter is mutating and can't stop it. Banner thought he had integrated Hulk and resolved that tension, but the monster comes back. Bigger, angrier, because you can't just decide which parts of yourself to keep and which to suppress and expect that to hold forever. And I think that's actually a really interesting thing to do with the Hulk. Not just bringing back Savage Hulk for the action sequences, though I am here for those, but using him as a thematic mirror for what Peter is going through. Two characters, both dealing with something inside them they can't fully control. If Brand New Day delivers on what the trailers and leaks are suggesting about the Hulk, if this is genuinely the scariest version of this character we've seen since 2008, that sets up something really interesting for wherever Bruce Banner goes next. Hulk needs to be scary again, and it looks like he finally is. And this brings us to the big one, because I believe every great Spider-Man story lives or dies on its villain. Think about what makes the Raimi films work. The Green Goblin in Spider-Man 1 isn't just a guy in a suit causing problems. He's Norman Osborn, someone Peter knows, someone who matters to Harry, someone whose death has real consequences that ripple across 3 films. And Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, which I will go to my grave arguing is one of the greatest comic book films ever made. But Doc Ock works because he's a mirror of Peter, a good man corrupted by something that he created, a scientist who lost the thing that made his work meaningful. That's what a great Spider-Man villain does. Personal. They reflect something back at Peter that he can't look away from. And the MCU hasn't really given us that yet with Thomas Peter. Vulture is solid. Michael Keaton is always solid. And the twist with Liz's dad is genuinely great. But Mysterio in Far From Home is built around the Tony Stark legacy more than Peter himself. And the villains that do work in No Way Home, Goblin, Doc Ock, Electro, they're borrowed from other films that already did the heaviest character work. They aren't really Tom's villains in that sense. Brand New Day has a real opportunity here. We don't fully know who the main villain is. We think Jean Grey might be involved, but whether she's a villain, an antagonist, or something more complicated than either of those things, that's unclear. We do know Damage Control is in the mix. We know Scorpion, Tarantula, Boomerang, Tombstone, the Hand are all in there somewhere. But honestly, I love that we don't know, because it means whoever it is, whatever the reveal is, it has a chance to surprise us in a way that a pre-announced villain never can. But what I need from that villain, whoever it turns out to be, is for them to be personal. Someone who makes Peter's specific wound the center of the conflict, not just the backdrop. Spider-Man has the best villains in comics for exactly that reason. The Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Kraven, Venom, the Hobgoblin, every single one of them is built around something Peter specifically struggles with. Identity, responsibility, loss, the cost of being the person you've decided to be. I've been waiting a long time to feel the way about Tom's Spider-Man that I feel about Tobey's. And I think this month might be the month that that finally happens. Now, brand new month continues right here on Cool Beans. Next week, we're making the case that Spider-Man has the best villains in all of comics. So I'll see you then.